So we have 2 2/5 times 6 1/10. So the first thing we have to do is make it into an improper fraction. So how would I make 2 2/5 into an improper fraction?
You have to do 5 times 2 plus 2.
So what would that be?
12 over 5.
Yep. And then what would I do for this one?
You would do 61 over 10.
Yep. And then, do you know how to cross cancel?
Kind of.
So you find a number that goes into 12 and 10. So I'm going to pick 2, right? So I divide this by 2 and I divide this by 2. This becomes a 6 and this becomes a 5. And the reason why we do it is it makes our number smaller so we don't have to deal with such big numbers. Now I have 6 times 61, which is 366 over 25. Now I have to make this into a mixed number. So how many times does 36 go, or 25 go into 366? So the answer is 13 and 21 25ths. Hold on. 2, 3. Okay. What did I do here? 366. So 25 times 13 is 325. 36 minus 25. Oh, this is 11. That's what was happening. So then we go, how many times does 25 go into 116? It goes in 4 times. And that's 100. And then we have 16 left over. So the answer is 14 and 16 25ths. Does it kind of make sense to you? Do you want me to do another one? Okay. I'll do another one. 4 8/9 times 3 1/8. So make those into improper fractions. What would it be?
That would be 44 over 9.
Yep. And then what would this one be?
It would be 8. Is it 25?
25/8, yeah. And then I'm going to cross cancel. So what does 44 and 8 have in common? I know both of them can be divided by 4. So 44 divided by 4 is 11, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now I have 25 times 11 is 275 over 18. Now I have to make this into a mixed number. So how many times does 18 go into 275? It goes in 1 time. And then how many times does 18 go into 95? I'm just going to take a guess that it's 5. And then 5 is left over 18. So the answer is 5 5/18. So the first step is you turn it into an improper fraction. Then you multiply across or cross cancel, whatever you want to do.
I don't really know how. I don't really get cross cancel.
So it's like super helpful. All right. If you had 4/10 and 2/8 and you were multiplying them, you basically, you can't always do it. So sometimes it doesn't have a common number, or sometimes it only has a common number. So for this one, what does 10 and 2 share as numbers that divide into it?
2.
So you divide this by 2 and it becomes a 1, and you divide this by 2. What is 10 divided by 2?
5.
So these cancel each other out. This is now a 5. This is now a 1. Now we're going to look at these ones. What does 4 and 8 share in common?
8.
No. We're dividing.
Oh, 4.
So you divide this by 4. What's 4 divided by 4? And then you divide this by 4. So this becomes a 1 and this becomes a 2. Then you do 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 2 is 2. 10. Sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. 10. So basically, sometimes like in this one, 5 and 2 do not share any common numbers, and 8 and 7, so you can't do it. You just have to multiply across, and then you simplify. But if they do share a common number, like this, shares a common number. This does not. Or say it was this, it does not. But these two do. What is my common number for 14 and 7?
7.
Yeah, so you divide this by 7 and you divide this by 7. So what does this one become?
1.
And then what does this become?
7.
14 divided by 7 is 2, right?
Oh.
And then you do 4 times 1 is 4. And 2 times 3 is 6. And then you would simplify that. Does it kind of make a little more sense now?
Yeah.
Okay. And then to divide, you said you didn't know how to do that. So the problem was 35 3/4 divided by 5 11/12. So the first thing we do is we turn this into an improper fraction. So we do 35 times 4 plus 3. So it's 143/4. And then I know 12 times 5 is 60 plus 11 is 71/12. So that's the first step. You change it into an improper fraction for both of these. And then you write the first fraction, you change this to a multiplication, and then you flip the second fraction. So the numerator becomes the denominator and the denominator becomes the numerator. And then you either cross cancel or you multiply across. So I know that 4 and 12 share, I can divide both by 4, right? So I'm going to do that. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. now I do 143 times 3 is 429 over 71. So that's my answer, and then it's an improper fraction, so I have to change it to a mixed number. So how many times does 71 go into 429? I'm going to guess like maybe 6 times. The remainder is 3, so that becomes my numerator, and my denominator stays the same. So the answer is 6 and 371.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so first step, you change to an improper fraction. That's this step right here. Second step is to write the first fraction. Third step is to change the division to a multiplication. Fourth step is to flip the second fraction. Then you either cross multiply or cross cancel, sorry, or multiply across. And then you change to a mixed number. And simplify. A lot of steps. Okay. The next one was 6 and 5/6 plus 8 and 2/12 plus 14 and 1/7. So you have to find a common denominator that goes into 6, 12, and 7. So usually when you have 3 numbers like this, you have to keep going for a long, long time. So you have to find all the multiples. And like I said, there's usually a lot. So we're just going to check, do I have a common number so far?
No.
So I have 48 and 48, but that's not going to help me, right? I have to keep going. So 48. Do I have any common numbers yet? No.
No.
How about now? I have 72 and 72, but this one does not have a 72.
No.
So 78, 84. Oh, I have a common number, 84. So I change this to an 84. I change this to an 84. And I change this to an 84. How many times does 6 go into 84? 14. So I multiply this by 14 and I multiply this by 14. Then same thing for this. And then this one, 84 divided by 7 is 12. So I multiply this by 12. Multiply this by 7. And I multiply 14 by 5. Now I have 70 plus 14 plus 12. 96 over 84. And then I'm going to add these together. 6 plus 8 plus 14 is 28. But this is still an improper fraction. So what do I have to do?
You have to make it into a mixed number.
Yeah, so what would it be? 1 and what?
1 and 12 over 84.
Yeah, and then now I have to simplify this. So what number goes into 12 and 84?
6.
Is there a higher number? We have all of our factors here, so is there a number?
We could do.
How about 12?
Oh.
So then this is 1, and then how many did I multiply by to get to 84? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is 28 and 1/7. All right. Now the last thing that they're doing is subtraction of 2 numbers. Sorry, 3 numbers. So we're going to find a common number that goes into 11, 14, and 2. Now, almost always you're going to only do 2 at a time, get the answer, and then, because you can't really borrow if you had to borrow, right? So you're only going to do 2 at a time. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm just looking at the common denominator for that. So it's a 2. So hopefully that will work. But if not, it's okay. Does that make sense to you or no?
Yeah, kind of.
So when we're subtracting, we're only going to do 2 at a time. When we're adding, we can do as many as we want because we don't have to worry about borrowing. So what if I'm counting up by 11 and 14, I have to find a common number. All right, so I don't think I'm going to have one yet, but let's try. 14, 28, 42, 56, 70, 84, 98, 112, 126, 140, 154. So I'm going to keep counting up. 99 plus 11 is 110 plus 11, 121 plus 11, 132 plus 11, 143 plus 11, 154. So 154 is my number. So I change this to 154 and I change this to 154. Then I can do 154 divided by 11 is 14. So that's what I'm going to multiply this by. And then 154 divided by 14 is 11. So that's what I'm going to multiply this by. So we know 5 times 11 is 55. And then 14 times 9 is 126. Then I subtract the numerators. And I get 71 over 154. Now, I'm not done because I still have to subtract my 2.5. And I still have to subtract this. 19 minus 4 is 15. So now I have 15 and 71 154ths minus 2.5. So my common denominator is 154. And then this is times 1. 154 divided by 2 is 77. So now I have 71 154ths minus 77. I can't do that without borrowing, right? Because 71 is smaller than 77. So I have to borrow some from here. I borrow 1, and then I add 154 154ths, and I subtract it from the 77 over 154. Are you with me on why I did that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to do 154 minus 77 is 77 154. And then I can already tell 77, if I divide it 154 by 77, I would get 2. So this is actually 1/2. Because if I simplify it, and then 14 minus 2 is 12. So it's 12.5. So a lot of steps, a lot of things to keep track of. But does it kind of make sense to you?
Yeah, kind of, but I might still have a little trouble because there's so many steps. I still have to kind of memorize it.
Yeah, and I just made a video for you. So it's 20 minutes. I'll send it to Mom and to you.